Taanit B'siyata d'shmaya, we're going to learn Taanit Daf Tes. We're going to start 6 lines from the bottom of Daf Ches Omid Beis. Says the Gemara, Kibbutz, Gayosois, Tzedakah, Maisa, Parnas, Siman. This is a siman to remember some of the statements that are going to be given by Rabbi Yochanan. They are regarding these words. Let's see them inside Omar Rabbi Yochanan. The first statement is as follows: Godel Yom HaGeshamim, great is the day that the rain comes down. Kiyom Kibbutz Golios, as the day that the exiles are going to be collected, so to speak. Everybody is going to come together back to Eretz Yisrael. Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, in Tehillim, Shuva Hashem es Shaviseinu, Hashem is going to return all those of exile. Similar ka'afikim, like afikim, we'll soon see what that means. Banegev, in the dry places, in the deserts. Ve'ein afikim elo motor, afikim is referring to rain. Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Vayira'u afikei yam, and the afikei yam, the channels, or the rains that are channeling water down to the sea, Yigolu Moistos Tevil Begaras Hashem Minishmas Ruach Apoy. So you see that the Afikei Yom is consequent, is to do with the rain. So when it says in the Pasuk that Shuva Hashem es Shviseinu Ka'afikim Banegev, is saying that the day of when Hashem is going to bring us all back from the Golus is similar to the rain in the deserts. And that's the Ka'afikim Banegev. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, another statement from Rabbi Yochanan, Godel Yom HaGeshamim, the day of the rain comes down is great. She'afilu gayosos, even the legions, the groups of soldiers, poiskois, they cease their movement. Boy, on that day, Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Telomeho Ravei, that when the rain comes down, her furrows will be saturated. Naches Gedudel, and her legions will rest. V'omer Rabbi Yochanan, another statement from Rabbi Yochanan, Ein HaGeshamim ne'etzorim, the rain is only withheld, elo b'shvil poiskei tzedakah, for those who pledge to give tzedakah, to give charity, barabim, in public, so to speak, to find favor in the eyes of the poor people, and to, so to speak, pride themselves. But however, v'ein noisnim, but they do not pay up. Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Nesiim, clouds, v'ruach, and the winds, v'geshem, and rain, oyin, they will not be. So Rashi explains there's two ways of reading this. Either Nesiim v'get ruach, there will be clouds and wind, however v'geshem ayin, there will not be any rain, or we could read it Nesiim v'ruach v'geshem, the clouds, the winds, and the rain, oyin, will not be. Why? Because ish mishalil, because of the people who have praised themselves by pledging for charity, b'matas sheker, with a false gift, by promising to give a gift and then not paying up. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, another statement from Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'idich Siv, it says in the Pasuk, aser to aser, which is a double term to make sure that one tithes what one needs to take meiser from the fruits, the vegetables, etc. The Pasuk says, Aser to Aser is called Tvuas Zarecho, Hayotze Asode, Shono Shono. What's this double term, Aser to Aser? Aser, says Rabbi Yochanan, you should take Meiser, B'shvil Shetis Asher, because that way you'll become rich. Ashkeche Rabbi Yochanan liYenuka, Rabbi Yochanan met his nephew, the son of Rish Lakish. He was an orphan, Rish Lakish had already passed away. Liyenuka, this young child, the young son, the Rish Lakish of Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish was married to Rabbi Yochanan's sister. Omar Lei, so Rabbi Yochanan said to this child, Eimeli psukecha, tell me what pasuk you learnt. Omar Lei, so the child said to Rabbi Yochanan, Aser to Aser, we learnt this pasuk, Aser to Aser. Omar Lei, the child asked Rabbi Yochanan, my Aser to Aser, what's this double term, Aser to Aser? Omar Lei, Rabbi Yochanan responded to the child, Aser, as we saw before, take Meiser, Bishvil Shetis Asher, in order that you will become rich. Omar Lei, Minolacha, the child asked Rabbi Yochanan, how do you know this to be true? That if you take Meiser, you'll become rich. Omar Lei, Rabbi Yochanan said, Zil Nasi, go and test it. Omar Lei, the child said to Rabbi Yochanan, Umishori linasuya l'Hakadosh Baruch Hu, are you allowed to test Hashem? V'oksiv, does it not say in the Pasuk, in the Chumash, Loitanasu es Hashem alekeichem, kasher nesisem b'masa, do not test Hashem. Omar Lei, Rabbi Yochanan said to the child, Hacha Omer Rabbi Hoshia, My Rebbe Rabbi Hoshia said as follows, Chutz mizu, it's true that you're not allowed to test Hashem. There's one exception, and that is regarding Maisa. Shenemer, as it says in the Pasuk in Malachi, Haviyu es kol ha-maiser, you should bring all the Maiser, El Beis HaOitzer, to the storehouses, Vayihi teref beveisi, and then there'll be food in my home, says Hashem, in the Beis HaMikdash, Uvechanuni no bezois, and you're allowed to test me in this. Omar Hashem Tzavokis, says Hashem, Im lo yeftach lochem, if I will not, consequent to your Maisa, open up for you, Eis harubois hashemayim, the windows of the skies, Varikoisi lochem brocha, and I'll pour down blessing to you, ad beli dai, without a limit. Now the Gemara is interjecting and asking, my ad beli dai, what does it mean that that Hashem is going to pour down the blessing ad beli dai? What's this word beli dai mean? Omaromi barachom omarav, Ache yivlu, the word beli means yivlu, sifsei seichem, referring to the worn out lips, that your lips will be worn out, miloi mardai, from saying there's enough. There's going to be so much abundance that your lips won't even be able to continue saying that there's been enough. Continues the Gemara we were at before. Omar le, the child said to Rabbi Yochanan, Ihavas moti hasam, had I reached this pasuk that you just quoted to me, that you're allowed to test Hashem, lahai psuka, lo havas tzrichna lecha, I wouldn't have needed you, Rabbi Yochanan, to explain to me what the word aser. To aser means, ulahoishia rabach, nor would I have needed what your Rebbe Rabbi Hoshia said, that you're allowed to test Hashem regarding Maisa. Continues the Gemara. V'su ashkechei Rabbi Yochanan liyenuka. On another occasion, Rabbi Yochanan again met this young son, the Rish Lakish of Rish Lakish. The Yosef was sitting v'omar and saying as follows: Iveles Odom, the foolishness of man, Tesalif Darkei, perverts his ways because of the punishment that he's going to get for being foolish and doing Averis. Va'al Hashem Yizaf Liboy, and this foolish person, instead of realizing that he's responsible for the punishment he's getting, he's blaming Hashem. His heart is fretting against Hashem, as if complaining to Hashem, why did you give me this punishment? Yosef Rabbi Yochanan v'kom Tamar, Rabbi Yochanan was sitting and wondering. Omar, and he asked, could it be there's something written in Nevi'im or Ksuvim that's not alluded to in the Chumash? Omar Leis, the young child, said to Rabbi Yochanan, Otu ha milah mizi, I'll show you where this concept is alluded to in the Pasuk. The Chsivit says in the Chumash, Vayomer el Echov, Hushav Kaspi, V'gam hinei bam tachti, Vayetze libom, their heart sank, Vayechrudu ish el Ochiv, and they were afraid, the brothers of Yosef. Leimer, they said, Ma zois osa lekim lonu, why did Hashem do this to us? So what do we see from here? We see from here that, so to speak, they had really been punished for having sold Yosef. But instead of that, they were complaining, why is Hashem doing this to us? So this is alluding to what it says in the Pasuk, in Mishli, that a foolish person who's getting punished for his foolish deeds is blaming Hashem. Dal Einai, Rabbi Yochanan, he lifted up his eyebrows. Rabbi Yochanan had long eyebrows, the Gemara in Baba Kama tells us, and he would take a silver tongs and lift up his eyebrows to be able to look. So he lifted up his eyebrows v'chozabe, to look at his nephew, the son of Rish Lakish. Asya Ime, the mother of this young child, the sister of Rabbi Yochanan, the wife of Rish Lakish, came and afikte and took him away. Omra le, and said to the child, Tomi kamei, quickly come away from before Rabbi Yochanan, deloilevid lecha, so that he shouldn't look at you, kedeovid lavich, in the way that he looked at your father Rish Lakish in Bab Metzia Daf Peidalad Omid Aleph, where Rish Lakish just looked at, where Rabbi Yochanan looked at Rish Lakish, and ultimately that caused Rish Lakish to pass away, and his mother was afraid something similar would happen here, so the mother of this child quickly took the child away. Continues the Gemara, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, another statement from Rabbi Yochanan. Motor, rain comes down b'shvil yachid, even if just a single person needs rain, rain will come down for him. However, parnasa, prosperity, where there's going to be a general abundance for, during the year, that is beyond what was decreed upon on Rosh Hashanah, b'shvil rabim, that's only in the merit of many, and if many need it. Motor b'shvil yachid, where do we see that the rain will fall even for an individual. T'chsiv, it says in the pasuk, Yiftach Hashem lecha esotzara. Hashem will open up for you, one person, his storehouses, his good storehouses, etzore atoiv es hashemayim losis matar artzecha beitoi, to give the rain of your land at the right time, etc. Parnasa b'shvil Rabbim. Where do we see that general prosperity is going to only come down in the merit and to fulfill the needs of many? T'chsiv, it says in the pasuk, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, hineni mamtir lochem, I'm going to rain down for you, in plural, lechem, bread min hashemayim, v'yatza'am, etc. Asks the Gemara Meisvei. We are going to ask a question from a brisa. Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Shloisha parnosim toivim omdu leYisrael. We're going to bring proof from here that prosperity is given in the merit of a single person. Because there were 3 leaders that were leading Klal Yisrael at the same time, and the only time where there were 3 leaders at the same time, ve'eluhein, they were Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen and Miriam HaNeviah. They were brothers and sisters, siblings. V'gimel matonos toives, and 3 wonderful gifts, nitnul al yodom, were given to Klal Yisrael in their merit. Ve'eluhein, they were the well from which Klal Yisrael drank in the wilderness, ve'onon, and the clouds of glory, the Anania covered, that surrounded them and protected them in their 40 years of travel, umon, and the bread that fell from heaven, from which Klal Yisrael ate for 40 years. Be'er, the well, was b'schus Miriam, was in the merit of Miriam HaNeviah. Amud onon, the pillar of the cloud, b'schus Aaron, that was in the merit of Aaron HaKohen. Mon, the mon that came down, was b'schus Moshe, was in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu. Meisa Miriam, when Miriam and Neviah passed away, nistalka be'er, then this be'er, this well, this rock from which water was pouring from, disappeared, and there was no longer water for Klal Yisrael. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Vayevoyu b'nei Yisrael kol ha'edo midbar tzin b'chodesh harishain, in the month of Nisan, vayeshivam b'kodesh v'tomos shom Miriam v'tikover shom, that it says that Miriam and Neviah passed away. Uchsiv basri, in the next pasuk it says v'lohoyo mayim lo'edo, there was no water for the community to drink. Vayikalu al Moshe v'al Aaron, they gathered around Moshe and Aaron begging for water. V'chazra, and the water came back, b'schus shneim, in the merit of the 2 remaining leaders, which was Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, as it says, v'dibartem el hasela, the 2 of you should speak to the rock, and the rock will give forth water once again. Meis Aaron, when Aaron HaKohen passed away, nistal kananea covered, the clouds of glory disappeared. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, vayishma Knani, the Knani, and that was Melech Arod, he was Yoshev HaNegev, he heard Kivo Yisrael derech ha'asorim vayilochem b'Yisrael vayish mimenu shevi, and he fought Klal Yisrael and he took captives from Klal Yisrael. Ma'ashamu ha'ashama, what did this Canaanite hear? It says Vayishma Kanani, before coming to wage war with Klal Yisrael, he heard. Says the Gemara, Shama Shemeis Aaron, he heard that Aaron HaKohen had passed away, Ministal Kohanane covered, and the protective clouds of glory had disappeared. Ukasovar, and he thought, Nitno le'reshus lilochem b'Yisrael, I now have permission to wage war against Klal Yisrael. V'hainu d'chsiv, that's what it says in the pasuk. Vayiru kol ha'edo ki gova Aaron, the entire community saw that Aaron had passed away. Vayivku es Aaron shleishim yom, and they cried for Aaron 30 days, kol beis Yisrael. Omer, now the Gemara is interjecting the brisa. Omer bavo, al tikri vayiru. Don't read it just vayiru kol ha'edo ki gova Aaron, that the community, the nation, they saw that Aaron had passed away. Elo vayira'u, they were now being seen. They have now become visible. Ki gova Aaron, because Aaron had passed away. And where do we see that the word ki means because? When Shlokish said, Omer Shlokish, ki, the word ki, mishamish ba'arba l'shonis, is used with 4 tenses. Either i, which is if, or dilma, perhaps, or elo, which is but, or daha, because. So over here it says, Vayiru kol ha'edo, the Klal Yisrael became visible, ki gova Aaron, because Aaron had passed away. Chazru shneim b'schus Moshe. And now that Aaron HaKohen had passed away and Miriam and Neviah had passed away, now the water and the clouds of glory that Anania covered came back in the merit of Moshe on his own. Meis Moshe, when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, Nistalku Kulon, all three disappeared. Shenemer, as it says in the pasuk, Va'achid es shloishes haroyim, I've removed the three leaders, the three shepherds, the three leaders, b'yerach echod, in a single month. Asks the Brisa, b'yerach echod meisu, did Moshe and Aaron and Miriam all pass away in the same month? V'alo Miriam meisu b'Nisan, Miriam passed away in the month of Nisan. V'Aaron b'Av, and Aaron HaKohen passed away in the month of Av. U'Moshe b'Adar, and Moshe Rabbeinu in the month of Adar. Elo, says the Brisa, Melamed and Izbatlu Gimel Matonis Toives. What it means to tell us is that all three gifts disappeared. Shenitnu al Yodam, that were given in merit of these three leaders, all three disappeared when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. V'nistalku kulon b'yerach echad. When Moshe Rabbeinu passed away in Adar, all three disappeared. So now the Gemara is saying, what am I bringing proof from this long brisa? Alma, we see, Ashkechon Parnasa, we see that the Parnasa, referring to the mon that fell, Bishvil Yochid, was in the merit of a single individual, namely Moshe Rabbeinu. And before you said that the Parnasa will only come down in the merit of many. Answers the Gemara, Shani Moshe Rabbeinu is different, Kivin de Rabim Huboya, since he was davening for the entire Klal Yisrael, Karabim Domi, he was regarded as many, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu is an exclusion, he is considered many. Continues the Gemara of Huna bar Manoach, V'Rav Shmuel bar Idi, V'Rav Chia mivastanya, these three Chachomim have a shchicha kamei de Rava. They used to come before Rava. Kinoch nafshei de Rava. When Rava passed away, also the Kameder of Papa, they chose a different Rebbe, a different teacher of Papa. Whenever Rav Papa was teaching them a teaching, and there was something illogical to these Chachomim, have a meramzi adodi, they would look at each other and signal to each other as if, oh, we don't agree with that. And Cholash Daite, this distressed Rav Papa very much. Akruuya bechalme. And Rav Papa then had a dream, and what did he see in the dream? In the dream he saw this pasuk that we've just been reading about. Va'achid es shloishes haroim. Hashem took away these three leaders, b'yerach echad, all at once, and it will seem to be a message that these three chachomim would actually pass away from the world because the way they were distressing Rav Papa. With the next time that these three Talmidim took leave of Rav Papa, Omer Lu, he said to them, Leizlu Rabbanon, the Rabbanon should go b'shalma, with peace, and others should say leshalma, as if he was giving them a blessing that nothing should befall you, and that indeed what I dreamt about should not happen, and you should go in peace. And there's a discussion exactly how to understand this Gemara, but that's the basic reading here. Continues the Gemara of Simi bar Ashi have a shchiach kamei Rav Papa. Rav Simi was also used to come to Rav Papa. However, Makshele Tuva and Rav Simi would challenge Rav Papa very much. Yom Echad, one day, Chazya, Rav Simi saw the nofal al ape that Rav Papa he put his face down on his arms, and he was saying something. He was davening to Hashem. Shamei, Rav Simi heard Rav Papa saying, the Omar, he was saying, Rachmana litzlan, Hashem, you should save me, mikisufa de Simi, from the humiliation that I'm going through from Simi. And Simi realized that Rav Papa was not appreciating his questions. Kobil oleish tikusa, from that point on, Rav Simi, he took upon himself to remain silent when Rav Papa was teaching, Vasule actually, and didn't ask him any more questions. Continues the Gemara. In the same way as we saw before from Rabbi Yochanan, that rain comes down even to benefit just a single individual. V'af Rish Lakish also held motor b'shvil yochid, that rain comes down even for an individual. The Omer Rish Lakish, minayin lemotor b'shvil yochid. From where do we know that rain comes down even for an individual? Shenemer, as it says in the pasuk, Sha'alu me Hashem, motor, request from Hashem, rain, ba'es malkoish, in the time where the final rains should be falling, Hashem oise, chazizim, Hashem will form clouds, umatar geshem, and downpours of rain, yitain lohem, will give to them, le'ish, to a man, esev basode, a grass or a plant in the field. Yochel, I may have thought, lakoil, that Hashem will only give rain when everybody needs it. Talmud leima leish. No, it says in the pasuk, Hashem is going to give rain leish, even to a single person. Betanya, Ila ish, you're saying that it's going to come down even for an individual person. Yoche lekol sodosav, maybe that's only if all his fields need it. Talmud Leimat says no, leish esev basode, that even if a single field, even if not all his fields need rain, just one field of a person needs rain, that field will get water. Isode, maybe it's only if a whole field needs rain. Yoche lekol asode, I may have thought it's only if the whole field needs rain. What happens if just one plant in the field needs rain? Talmud Leimat says, leish esev basode, even just a grass, a single plant in the field will also be is enough reason for Hashem to send rain. Ki hoder of Daniel bar Katina, havale ahi ginsa. This Rav Daniel, he had a garden, a field. Kol yom ha'ozel, every day he would go over Sayrle and would examine the field, the garden. Omar, and he would say, Ha mishra boyamaya, this row of plants needs water. V'ha mishra loy boyamaya, and this row doesn't need water. V'asa mitra, and the rain came, v'komashka, and would water, kol heichad mibelei maya, to all those places that needed water would get the rain. Now the Gemara is coming back to that pasuk that we saw that says, Sha'alu me Hashem motor be'es malkish Hashem oise chazizim. The question is, chazizim is in plural. We explained that chazizim means clouds, but what's the plural? My Hashem oise chazizim. Omer b'yesi barchina chanina melamed she kol tzaddik, but tzaddik, for every single tzaddik, HaKadosh Baruch Hu oise lo chaziz b'fnei atzmei, Hashem, so to speak, makes a cloud of its on its own in order to send the rain to that person's fields. And now the Gemara is saying, my chazizim. So I know what the plural sense, why it's in plural, but what's the word chazizim? What type of clouds are these chazizim? Amar Rav Yehuda, Poirchos is talking about flying clouds. We'll soon see. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Siman lemotor Poirchos, that the sign that there's going to be rain is when you see flying clouds. My Poirchos, what are these flying clouds? Amar of Papa explained, Iva Klisha, when you see thin clouds, Toisa underneath, Iva Smichta underneath the thick clouds, and the thin clouds are traveling faster than the thick ones above them, those are the flying clouds, and that's a sign that there's going to be rain. Omer Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says, Nehila, when there's a fine rain, Mekame Mitra, before heavy rain, Osi Mitra, you can be sure that the heavy rains are going to persist. There's going to be a lot of rain. Bosor Mitra, however, when the light rains, the thin rains, comes after the heavy rains, Posik Mitra, that's a sign that the rains are about to subside. Mikama Mitra, when the thin rains are before the heavy rains, Osi Mitra, then the heavier rains are going to come after that and stay. But Simonoch, and that's similar, it's a sign, what's that similar to? Mahulta, to a sieve. That first the very fine flour falls through the holes, and then the thicker chaff can also fall through. That's like the thin rain. First the thin rain falls through, and then the thicker pieces. The bossa mitra, posik mitra. But when you have heavier rains, and then there's thin rains, that thin rain is a sign that the rains are going to stop. The simonoch, and similar to that is the charia de iza, is the dung of a goat. When a goat passes its dung, also it's very thick and heavier, and then when it gets much lighter and thinner, then one knows that the goat is going to stop passing the dung. Continues the Gemara, Ula ikle leBavel. Ula was visiting in Bavel, Chaza Poirchos, and he saw those flying clouds, and Omalu, he said to the people, Panu Moni, you should move away you should take all your utensils out that need to be in the house, take them into the house, because there's Dahashta Asi Mitra, because rain is about to fall. L'soif, what happened? At the end, Lo Asi Mitra, the rain didn't fall. So it seems to be that the skies were lying. First the sky says, here we come, flying clouds, there's going to be rain, and then there's no rain. Omar, so he said, Ki heichad mashakre bavloi, in the same way as the Babylonians, they tend to lie, and the Gemara doesn't tell us exactly what the lies he's referring to, but Hochim mashakre mitrayu, so too the rains, the clouds in Bavel are giving false signs. Continues the Gemara, Ula ikle leBavel, Ula was visiting in Bavel, Chaza meloy tzano de tamra. Bezuzah, he saw that a whole basket full of dates that one can make honey from for just a zuz. That's very, very cheap. Omar, so he said to himself, Meloy tzano de duvsha, a whole basket full of honey. Bezuzah, as cheap as a zuz, which means nobody really has to work. There's ample food for such cheap price. You don't need to work hard to raise that sort of money. And nonetheless, there are those in Bavel who are not completely immersed in Torah learning. In the night, Ula had eaten from these dates, from this honey, and he was afflicted with diarrhea. Omar, now he changed his perception on Bavel at all. He says, Mole tzana de sakinta. If it's so cheap, it seems that everybody is buying it, and it seems that they're all buying these knives, which means these dates and these honey, which is causing them to feel sick, to have diarrhea, bezuzah, and they're so readily available. And obviously, a lot of people are going to buy it because it's so cheap, so there must be a lot of people with digestive issues. And nonetheless, they're finding time. There are those in Bavel who are learning Torah, and he saw that as a praise. Continues the Gemara Tanya. We learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Kol ha'olam kuloi, the entire world, mimei ukainusu shoisa. The rain which is watering the world, where's the rain come from? From the oceans. Shenemer, as it says in the Pasuk, in Bereshis, ve'eid yale, and a vapor ascended min ha'oretz, from the land, v'hishkas kol pnei adama, and it watered the face of the soil, that means the whole world. So you see here clearly that where did the waters come from? From the oceans, and it's just a vapor that rises and then turns into rain. Omale Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua argued and asked Rabbi Eliezer, the oceans are salty, and the rains coming down, we can see they're not salty, and if they were salty, then the plantation wouldn't be able to grow from those rains. Omar Loi. So Rabbi Eliezer answered Rabbi Yeshua, Memaskin ba'ovin, they get sweetened in the clouds. And we're going to learn a source for that later. Rabbi Yeshua argued with Rabbi Eliezer, and he says, the truth is that rain is coming from the upper waters, not from the oceans. Shenemer, as it says in the Pasuk, from the rain of the heavens, of the skies, tishtemayim, you'll drink water. So you see that the rains are from the Shemayim, not from the oceans. Elomani Mekayim asks the Gemara, how is Rabbi Yeshua going to read the Pasuk, Ve'eid yalem in haaretz v'hishka, that the clouds are a vapor that raise up from the oceans, from the land? Answers the Gemara that the Pasuk is teaching us, what it means is that the clouds, they themselves, they raise up to the sky, and so to speak, the clouds themselves are not where the water is coming from. Indeed, they do raise up. It's not the vapor of the oceans which then turns into rain. No, clouds rise up to the height, and then they, so to speak, open their mouths like a noid, like this leather skin type of a flask that can hold water. And the clouds, so to speak, open up their mouths to receive the rainwater from the upper waters, and then the clouds will take that rain that they received from the upper waters and shower them down onto the world. Shenemer, as it says in the Pasuk, Ki yigora nitfei moim yozoiku motor le'edoi, that the skies are going to pour rain le'edoi, to the cloud. Umenukovis hein kechivra, and the clouds are perforated like a sieve. Ubois umecharoshois mayim, and they come and they sprinkle water al gabi karka onto the land. Shenemer, as it says in another pasuk in Shmuel, vayoshes choshech svivoisav sukois chashras mayim, a sieve of like water of Shchokim, are the thickness of the clouds of the heavens. So you see, the clouds of the heavens are considered like a sieve, because indeed the water gets passed from the Mayim Elyonim to the clouds, and from the clouds it gets sprinkled onto the land. Ve'ein bein tipo letipo elokim lo nimo, and even though there's a lot of water that comes down, but there's always going to be at least a hair's breadth between one drop and the next. Lelamdoch, to teach us, shegodel yom hageshomim, that the day that the rain comes down is great, kiyom shenivru bo shamayim va'oretz, is great like when Hashem created the world. Where do we know that from? From the following pasuk. Shenemer, as it says in the pasuk, And we've already seen this early on Daf Beis. The pasuk says, that Hashem, He performs great deeds which are beyond our comprehension. That's one pasuk in Eov. And then Uchsiv, it says another pasuk, the next pasuk in Eov, in connection to the Ein Cheker, to something beyond our comprehension. There's another pasuk, Hanoisein motor al pnei oretz, that Hashem gives the rain onto the land, v'shaleach mayim al pnei chutzos. So you see that the rain is brought in context of cheker, or ein cheker, be something beyond comprehension. Uchsiv la'alon, and it says elsewhere in the pasuk, halo yodato, you knew, im lo shamato, if you didn't hear, Elokei olam, Hashem boirei ktsois haaretz, Hashem created the corners of the world, lo yiaf, lo yiga, it didn't tire him, it wasn't any toil for him, ein cheker lisvunosoi, that it's beyond our comprehension, Hashem's wisdom. So you see that regarding creating the world, there's, again, we mentioned the word cheker, like we mentioned the word cheker regarding the rain. So you see here that in the same way as regarding creating the world, it says ein cheker litzvunosoi. It's beyond comprehension Hashem's wisdom, and it mentions ein cheker regarding the rain. So you see that the day of the rain is similar to the day that Hashem created the world. Continues the Gemara command. So we saw here Machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. Where does rain originate from? According to Rabbi Eliezer, from the oceans. According to Rabbi Yeshua, from the upper waters. Asks the Gemara, Kaman oz lahadich siv, the following pasuk that says, Mashke horim, that Hashem waters the mountains, me ali yosav, from his upper chambers. V'omer Rabbi Yochanan explained that what does ali yosav mean? It doesn't mean that Hashem is overseeing the rain from above, but the rain is coming from down below, from the oceans. No. Rabbi Yochanan explained, like Rabbi Yeshua, Hashem is bringing the rain down from the upper chambers of Hashem, which means from the upper waters. Says the Gemara command, Rabbi Yeshua. Obviously, that's following Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer, in the event that Rabbi Eliezer wants to understand Mashke Horim Al Yosef like Rabbi Yochanan did, how would he understand that? Because Rabbi Eliezer said the rain comes from the oceans. Answers the Gemara, Kivan de Salki Lahasam, that once the clouds raise up, Mashke Me'al Yosef Korilu, because Rabbi Eliezer also agrees that the vapor rises before turning into rain. It rises from the oceans. Because it rises, it looks like it's coming from the upper chambers, even though the origin of the rain is from the oceans. If you're not going to say such a thing, that we refer to the origin of something, not to its real source, but to where it's close to where it's coming from. There's another pasuk that says in the Chumash, Yitein Hashem es matar artzacha, Hashem is going to give the rain of the land, He's going to make it avok v'ofor, dust and dirt. Min hashamayim, yered olecha ad hishamdoch. How are you going to understand rain, which is dust and earth and dirt? Rain is water, not dust. Elokim de madli lahasam, since the dust and the earth and the dust and the dirt is going to be carried up, is going to be carried to there, min hashamayim korele. It's going to be called as if it's coming down from the sky. But of course it didn't originate from the sky. Hachanami, so too with the rains, says Rabbi Eliezer, kiven de salki lasam, since the cloud, which originated from the ocean, rose up to the heavens, me'al yosef korele, we call it as if it originated from the skies, from the upper chambers, even though that wasn't the pure origins of the water. However, according to Rabbi Yeshua, the origins were the waters, the upper waters. So now the Gemara asks, Kaman Ozla Hada Amar Rav Chanina. Rav Chanina explained the pasuk in Tehillim. Koines Kaneid, Hashem assembles like a mound, Mei Hayom, the waters of the sea, Noisein Ba'itzoris, and he puts into his warehouses Tahoimos, the deep waters. And Rav Chanina explained, Mi Goram La'oitzrois, who causes the warehouses, She Yismalu Bar, that they should be full of grain, Tahoimos. That's the waters, the deep waters. So you see clearly that the grains that they grow from the rain, they are from the tahimos, from the deep waters. It must be Rabbi Eliezer, it must be like Rabbi Eliezer, who says that the origins of the rain is the oceans, the deep waters. Rabbi Yeshua, how's Rabbi Yeshua going to explain this? He says that he learns differently. He learns that this pasuk is It's not talking about when rain comes down. He says that he puts in his warehouses the deep waters. Is not talking about the grain in the warehouses consequent to the rain from the deep waters. No, it means that when Hashem first created the world, at first there was water flooding the whole universe, the whole globe, the whole world, the whole planet. And at some point Hashem said no. Hashem said that I want all the waters to be collected into the ocean, into the sea. And that's why it says that Koines Kaned Me'ayom, that Hashem, he so to speak, turned all the seas into warehouses. The deep waters, they were the warehouses of all the waters. And that was talking about when Hashem first created the world, and that's when the sand on the shores became the boundaries of the waters, and then land was separate and sea was separate, and that's how Rabbi Yeshua is learning that pasuk. And in Yitzchok in the next year, we're going to continue from here.